lot of times I'll start reading a novel and I'll be really frustrated when something wrong happens. And then I have to remind myself, if nothing went wrong, nothing would happen in the story, right? And I have to remind myself that it would just be a boring story and it would not be realistic, because challenges are part of life and that is how we grow and how we become better humans. But it's so hard. Challenges are so difficult. And so obviously without these challenges we don't transform into the beings that we're meant to be. And so I think
Right.
that's the case in this
Yeah, no,
story.
no, very well said, because we do live in a society where there's contrast. There's gray areas, but there's always a contrast. And we do grow from that if we allow ourselves to see that brighter side of it. As you're saying, it's not easy. We'd rather, the whole over the rainbow type world. But what I really love about this, and it just occurred to me, is that her fingers are cut off, and so she's essentially doesn't have control. She can't manipulate the things around her very well. But what happens? A shaman signifying otherworldly, another dimension, comes down and he untangles her hair. And so what my interpretation is that when she finally goes deeper in and she's more introspective and finds different dimensions, more about herself, then she's able to untangle her past and she's able to contribute to the world in a very positive way.
Yes. Well, and it's interesting that you mentioned that, because when the spirits come down to the underworld, that is partially what they are doing in their year long purification, which, you mentioned that you read that the two different journeys of the soul is to the underworld and then to the land of the moon. And I had read that the Adlevin was a place that was frozen, oceanic world where it's cold and desolate, and the land of the moon is where it's perpetually light and warm and abundant, which you read the complete opposite. So it's possible that both exist in two different variations. But I really thought that was such a really interesting way. So in the storyline, in the belief system, the souls go down to Adlevin for the year to kind of decompress, to confront their past actions, and to disembowel themselves from their humanness before they can move on to their eternal paradise, before they can go to their ideal afterlife, where they have their eternal rest. And those souls that are not able to purify, that are holding on, Agunta, the father who comes down, he becomes a kind of punisher. Sometimes he is prodding them, sometimes he's pinching them, and sometimes he kicks them in the genitals over and over again until they are able to go through this purification process. But I thought that was such an interesting concept, because we do hold on to so many earthly things that I can see how one would think about how you have to go through this process before your soul can actually be released from its earthly holdings. And I kind of like this concept and that idea of shedding of different things from your past.
Perfect, because what I also was thinking about, and what I discovered, is that the sea in myths is often considered the unconscious. And like the woods is about the woods is about change. You go into the woods to face your biggest fear usually, and you come out transformed on the other side of it. The sea usually signifies the unconsciousness, and what you're saying is about the leaving behind the human part of yourself, is literally getting her fingers cut off. She's leaving behind her human past